time's veil where shadows collide. A battle unfolds, ancient forces align. Lucifer's light versus darkness reign. The Ascendants rise, defying the chains.
From letters to prophecies, history revealed in the Chronicles of Ascendants. Truths are unsealed, the Theophilus and Manuris, a shadow with power, the battle for souls in the ultimate hour. Cosmic realms, what's the design? The host will take you through space and time. Memoirs and sources, secrets untied. The truth shines through, get ready to decide. Ascendants rise, light breaks the sky. Shadows whisper, but hope is nigh. In the chaos of worlds, a choice runs deep. Listen to the chronicles, where destinies meet. The truth awaits. Are you ready to choose? This is the Ascendants Chronicles.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into the Ascendants Chronicles and focusing on, well, a pretty captivating group, the Shadowmasters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've all sent us tons of fascinating material on them, origins, ideology, even their religious beliefs. That's a lot to unpack.
It really is. It's like we're piecing together this intricate puzzle, you know, uncovering these hidden connections between the Shadowmasters and, well, our world.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess the best place to start is with their origins. We're talking like way back ancient Mesopotamia, around 4000 BC.
Yeah.
The cradle of civilization, right?
Right.
But also the rise of the Archaeo-Ascendants.
Right. Those Archaeo-Ascendants with their rigid hierarchies and, well, their whole belief system.
Yeah.
They really set the stage for the Shadowmasters to emerge. You know, it's like they were this counterforce, this dissenting voice pushing back against the dominant narrative.
Yeah. It's like they saw the dangers of unchecked power even way back then. But they didn't exactly rise up in open rebellion, did they? It was more about like safeguarding knowledge, you know, fostering different perspectives.
Absolutely. Imagine these intellectuals, mystics, philosophers operating in the shadows, forming these networks, preserving knowledge that might have been lost otherwise. It's like they understood that real power doesn't come from brute force. It comes from ideas, from preserving and spreading those ideas.
And they had this text, the Codex Solaris, that really kind of spells out their core beliefs.
The Codex Solaris is fascinating. It emphasizes interconnectedness, a balance between, well, light and dark, a reverence for diversity. It's almost like a blueprint for a more harmonious world, one where different perspectives can coexist and enrich each other.
So they weren't about dominating or imposing their own views. It was more about making sure multiple voices could be heard.
Exactly. And this idea of balance, not just between light and dark, but between different ideologies, different perspectives, it's central to their whole philosophy.
Okay, so we have this group emerging in ancient Mesopotamia, advocating for balance and knowledge in the face of the Archaeo-Ascendants' control. But how did they actually operate? What did this silent struggle look like?
Well, you can picture them as these guardians of hidden wisdom, operating from places like the Library of Alexandria, European monastery libraries, always safeguarding knowledge, fighting against oppression. Think about those scrolls, those manuscripts, those secret meetings. It's like a historical thriller playing out over centuries.
Wow. It's amazing to think that they've been around for so long, working behind the scenes to protect knowledge, to fight for the persecuted. And get this, they have this amazing connection to our own city.
You're talking about Dalbergen, right? It's wild to think our campus is built right on top of their spiritual and organizational HQ.
I know. It's like we walk by these historic buildings every day, but now they hold this whole new meaning, like the Collegium Humanitatis.
Right. A place of learning, a hub for exchanging ideas for centuries. It's easy to see why the Shadowmasters were drawn to this location.
And their founder, Hayo van Wolvega, he was the scholar, a philosopher himself, right? Someone who really, really championed tolerance and progressive thought.
Exactly. He established Dalbergen as a sanctuary for intellectuals and free thinkers back in 1203. And it seems the Shadowmasters saw its potential to be this beacon of their ideology.
So Dalbergen becomes this stronghold, a center for tolerance and progressive thought right in the heart of Europe. But they didn't just stay cloistered away in their libraries, did they? They actually formed alliances, collaborated with other groups throughout history.
You're absolutely right. They understood that to really make a difference, they needed to work with others who shared their vision. Like, take the economists, for example, this fascinating group that blends spirituality with economic thought.
I can just picture these intense debates between the Shadowmasters and the economists. Late nights fueled by strong coffee and a desire for a better world, maybe right here on our campus.
Huh? Perhaps. But remember, they're masters of subtlety. Their influence is often felt, not seen. Think about the 1967 Pact of Amsterdam. It was this landmark agreement that really solidified their collaboration with spiritual and ecological movements around the world. It really shows their long-term vision, their commitment to a more balanced and sustainable world.
Okay, so we've got their origins, their commitment to balance and diversity, their presence in places like Alexandria and right here in Dalbergen, their collaboration with groups like the economists. But what about their actual beliefs? Like, what do they hold sacred? Religiously speaking, I mean.
Well, now that's where it gets really interesting. Their religious ideology is truly unique. They blend elements from different faiths and philosophies into something entirely new, and it all revolves around what they call the original truth.
Original truth. It sounds almost mythical, like they discovered this hidden source of wisdom that predates organized religion.
You know, that's a great way to put it. They believe the original truth reveals this unified origin for all the major religions, like a common thread that's been obscured over time. They have these texts of verborgen Einheit der Religies, verloren Sora of Isaiah, verloren Buch van Moses, that supposedly offer these glimpses into this hidden history of faith.
So they're not tied to any one religion. They see a common thread running through them all. That's a pretty radical idea, especially considering they emerged when religious institutions held so much power.
It is. And the Shadowmasters believe that those institutions actually suppressed these texts because they revealed a truth that threatened their authority.
It's like they're saying, don't just accept the dogma you're given. Dig deeper, look for the connections, discover the truth for yourself.
Exactly. And at the heart of this original truth is this fascinating concept of the divine. It's a trinity, not unlike the Christian one, but with their own unique interpretation. They believe in this eternal source of love, this ultimate unknowable source of all existence. Then there's Theophilus Emmanuelis, who embodies divine love, and Ziva Voda, representing this transformative power of the divine.
So they acknowledge Jesus, but their concept of God and the Holy Spirit is different. And these three entities are inseparable, right? Like they're one.
Yes, they are one in essence. The Shadowmasters see the separation we find in organized religion as a human construct, something that obscures the true nature of the divine.
It's almost like they're weaving together threads from different religious tapestries,
Yeah.
creating something entirely new and surprisingly complex.
And that's what makes their beliefs so compelling. They challenge our assumptions about religion and spirituality. They push us to look beyond the surface and seek this deeper, more unified understanding.
This raises a crucial question, though. Where do we fit into all of this? What's the Shadowmasters' take on humanity and our role in this grand scheme of things?
That's a great question. And their answer is, well, it's equally fascinating. Get ready, because we're about to delve into the Shadowmasters' view of humanity and its place in the cosmos.
I'm ready. Let's hear it.
So the Shadowmasters, they believe that humans are like these conscious mirrors reflecting universal truth. They see us as inherently dignified beings, each with a unique role to play in this grand tapestry of existence.
So we're not just like products of our biology or pawns in some cosmic game. We actually have a purpose, a reason for being.
Exactly. They believe we're all connected to that divine source, capable of reflecting its light and love back into the world. And they see our capacity for growth and transformation as key to achieving balance.
That's a pretty optimistic view of humanity, considering, well, all the chaos and conflict we see in the world.
You're right. It is optimistic. But they're not naive. They acknowledge the darker aspects of human nature, the tendencies towards greed, fear, violence. But they believe those are distortions, like deviations from our true nature, not our defining characteristics.
So it's like they're saying we have the potential for both great good and great harm, that the choice is ultimately ours.
Exactly. And that brings us to another fascinating aspect of their beliefs, their concept of sin.
Yeah. From what I've read, their take on sin is pretty different from the traditional view.
Yeah.
It's not about breaking some divine law or being punished for wrongdoing.
Right. For the Shadowmasters, sin is about missing the mark. It's about failing to live up to our potential for unity and harmony, neglecting our responsibility to contribute to the well-being of the whole.
So it's less about guilt and punishment and more about recognizing our interconnectedness and acting accordingly.
Exactly. They believe that when we act out of, selfishness, greed, fear, we're essentially cutting ourselves off from that divine source, creating imbalance and suffering in the world.
It's like a spiritual boomerang effect almost.
Mm-hmm.
The harm we inflict on others ultimately comes back to haunt us.
Huh. That's a great analogy. And this perspective really sets them apart from groups like the Dominionists who are, obsessed with control and punishment. The Shadowmasters are all about transformation, not domination. They believe in our capacity for growth, for healing, for reconnecting with our true nature.
It's a message of hope, really. They're saying we're not doomed by our mistakes. We can always choose to realign ourselves with the divine source and work towards a more harmonious existence.
And this idea of alignment, it's key to understanding their approach to power. They see power not as something to be seized or hoarded, but as a force that flows through us, connecting us to that divine source and to each other.
So it's less about power over and more about power with.
Exactly. And that's what makes them such a powerful counterforce to the other ideologies we see in the Ascendants Chronicles. They're not playing the same game. They're not seeking to dominate or control. They're trying to shift the very paradigm of power, to create a world where collaboration and shared wisdom guide our actions.
It's a pretty radical vision, especially considering they've been operating in the shadows for millennia.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you wonder how they've managed to survive and maintain their influence in the face of such powerful adversaries.
That's a question worth exploring.
Yeah.
Think about it. The Ascendants, the Dominionists, the Economists, they've all had their moments of dominance. Yet the Shadowmasters have endured, quietly shaping events, planting seeds of change, ensuring that their vision of a balanced world never fades entirely.
It speaks to their resilience, their adaptability, their understanding of the long game, But how have they practically exerted their influence? Like, what are some concrete examples of their silent struggle throughout history?
Let's take a specific example. The fall of the Roman Empire, a time of immense upheaval, chaos, and uncertainty. As the old order crumbled, the Shadowmasters saw an opportunity, not to seize power, but to guide the transition. They worked to preserve knowledge, protect vulnerable populations, and foster a spirit of tolerance amidst the turmoil.
It's almost like they're the ultimate crisis managers, stepping in during moments of instability to ensure that humanity doesn't lose sight of its potential.
Huh. That's a great way to put it. They recognize that periods of instability can either lead to further fragmentation or to the emergence of something new, something better, and they've consistently worked to steer us toward the latter.
So while others were scrambling for power in the ruins of Rome, the Shadowmasters were planting seeds for a more harmonious future.
Precisely. And we see this pattern repeating throughout history. For instance, during the Middle Ages, while Europe was consumed by religious wars, the Shadowmasters, they facilitated intellectual exchange between different cultures. Think of figures like Gerbert of Aurillac, a scholar who brought Arabic numerals to Europe. It might seem like a small thing, but it had huge implications for the development of mathematics and science.
It's a perfect example of their subtle influence. They're not leading armies or conquering territory. They're working behind the scenes, nudging humanity in the right direction. Like a gentle hand guiding a ship through stormy seas.
And sometimes they've had to take a more active role, especially when faced with threats to their very existence. Think about the conflict with the Dominionists in 15th century Spain.
Ah, yes, the Spanish Inquisition. A dark chapter in human history.
Yeah.
But the Shadowmasters weren't just going to stand by and watch as innocent people were persecuted for their beliefs.
Absolutely not. They organized underground networks to help those targeted by the Inquisition. They smuggled people to safety, preserved forbidden texts, and challenged the Dominionist authority at every turn. It was a dangerous game, but they knew the stakes were too high to remain passive.
So they're not afraid to fight back when necessary, even if it means putting themselves at risk.
Exactly. And this brings us back to Dalbergen and its importance in their history.
Right. Their spiritual and organizational HQ. We've talked about Hayo von Wolvega and his vision for the city. But what specifically makes Dalbergen such a strategic location for the Shadowmasters? Like, why here, of all places?
Well, think about its location. Dalbergen has always been at the crossroads of trade routes, a natural meeting point for different cultures and ideas. It's a microcosm of the diversity and interconnectedness that the Shadowmasters value so deeply.
It's almost like they saw in Dalbergen a reflection of the world they were striving to create.
Exactly. And beyond its geographic location, the city's longstanding commitment to tolerance and intellectual freedom made it a natural haven for those seeking refuge from persecution.
So it's not just the physical location, but the very spirit of Dalbergen that drew them here.
Precisely. The city's DNA aligns with their core values, and within Dalbergen, certain locations hold particular significance. The Collegium Humanitatis, for example, it was more than just a university. It was a center for the study of ancient wisdom, a repository of forbidden texts, and a training ground for future generations of Shadowmasters.
I'm imagining those dusty libraries filled with the ancient scrolls, secret meetings in candlelit chambers, whispered discussions about the fate of the world.
It's easy to get caught up in the romantic imagery. And then there's the network of hidden resistance centers throughout the city. These were places where the Shadowmasters could gather in secret, plan their strategies, and protect those who needed their help.
Dalbergen's history is so intertwined with the Shadowmasters. Walking through the city, it makes you wonder what secrets lie hidden beneath the surface? What echoes of their presence still linger?
That's what makes the Ascendants Chronicles so compelling. It blends history, mythology, and philosophy in a way that sparks our imagination and makes us question our own assumptions about the world.
And speaking of questioning assumptions, let's dive back into their beliefs for a second. We've talked about the original truth and their concept of the divine, but there's one aspect we haven't explored yet: Sud Voda.
Ah, yes. Sud Voda, it's a key concept in their belief system, a spiritual realm, a place of transformation and renewal.
Okay, I'm intrigued,
Yeah.
But is it a physical place, like a hidden spring or a secret temple?
Not exactly. It's more like a state of consciousness, a realm where the divine and the human intersect, where true understanding and transformation can occur.
So it's accessible through some kind of spiritual practice or ritual?
Yes, they have specific practices and techniques for accessing Sud Voda, and they believe that it's through this realm that Theophilus Emmanuelis will one day return to the world. They see themselves as guardians of Sud Voda, protectors of the pathway that leads to this transformative realm.
It adds another layer to their already complex beliefs. They're not just about preserving knowledge and promoting balance. They're also actively working towards a future where humanity can access this higher state of consciousness and reconnect with the divine source.
Exactly. And this goal influences their actions, their alliances, their entire approach to shaping the world. They believe that by nurturing the conditions for spiritual growth and understanding, they can help humanity evolve towards this higher state of being.
So it's not just about surviving. It's about thriving, about evolving, about achieving our full potential as conscious beings.
Precisely. And this brings us to another fascinating aspect of their organization, their leadership structure. We've mentioned roles like the Shadowmaster of the Sun and the Shadowmaster of the Moon, but how do they actually make decisions? Is it a top-down hierarchy like we see in other groups?
That's a great question. Their whole philosophy seems to emphasize balance and interconnectedness. So I'd imagine their decision-making process is pretty unique.
You're absolutely right. It's unlike anything we see in the other powers. Instead of a rigid chain of command, they operate more like a network, relying on collective wisdom and a process they call the resonance ritual to arrive at decisions.
Resonance ritual. That sounds intriguing. What is it exactly?
It's a practice designed to harmonize individual perspectives and tap into a deeper level of shared understanding. It involves meditation, deep listening, and a process of sharing personal insights and experiences.
So it's not about arguing or debating, but about finding common ground, a shared resonance.
Exactly. They believe that truth isn't absolute, but rather emerges through the interplay of different viewpoints. And the resonance ritual helps them move beyond individual egos and connect with a deeper level of collective wisdom.
It's like they're creating a symphony of perspectives,
Yeah.
each voice contributing to a harmonious whole.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And it's through this process that they make decisions that are aligned with their core values, even when faced with complex and challenging situations. It's a model of leadership that emphasizes collaboration, empathy, and a deep respect for the diversity of human experience.
It's definitely a different way of thinking about leadership. It makes you wonder what our world would look like if our political systems, our businesses, even our personal relationships were guided by this same principle of seeking balance and harmony through shared wisdom.
Yeah. It's a tantalizing thought, isn't it? And it speaks to the broader implications of the Shadowmasters' philosophy. They're not just a secretive group operating in the shadows. They're offering us a blueprint for a better future, a way to navigate the complexities of the world without succumbing to division and conflict.
It's a vision of a world where power is used not for self-interest, but for the collective good, where differences are celebrated and where decisions are made with the well-being of the whole in mind.
Exactly. And their story reminds us that even in the face of overwhelming challenges, even when surrounded by forces that seek to control and dominate, there's always another way. There's always the possibility of choosing balance, of seeking harmony, of working towards a future where the light of wisdom and compassion guides our path.
It's a powerful message and one that feels incredibly relevant in our own time. But there's one more aspect of the Shadowmasters that we haven't explored yet, their prophecies.
Yes, they're prophecies. They offer a glimpse into the future, a vision of a final showdown between the forces of light and darkness.
Okay, now you've got to tell us more. What do these prophecies say about the future? What role did the Shadowmasters play in this cosmic battle?
That's a story for our final part. Join us as we delve into the Shadowmasters' prophecies, unraveling their predictions for the future and exploring what they might mean for us today.
All right, so we've explored the Shadowmasters' origins, their beliefs, their tactics, even their unique leadership style. Now, for the final chapter of our deep dive, let's talk about their prophecies.
Yeah, it's like peering into this crystal ball, trying to decipher these glimpses they offer into the future. The Shadowmasters believe that a time of great upheaval is coming. This final confrontation between the five powers that shape our world.
Right, we're talking about ascendantism, economism, dominionism, ethosconomism, and of course the Shadowmasters themselves. They see this clash as inevitable, like a climax to the long struggle between these ideologies.
Exactly. They predict that the Ascendants and their offshoots they're gonna make this final desperate push for dominance. Imagine it, a world where control and hierarchy reign supreme, where diversity and individual expression are just crushed beneath the weight of rigid dogma. That's the future the Shadowmasters are fighting to prevent.
That's a chilling thought. But where do they see themselves fitting into this final battle? Surely they're not just going to sit back and watch as the world descends into chaos.
Well, according to their prophecies, three final Shadowmasters will emerge, each playing a unique and crucial role in shaping the outcome of this conflict. It's like a trio of heroes stepping onto the stage at the climax of a grand play.
Okay, now I'm really hooked. Who are these final Shadowmasters, and what makes them so special?
Well, the prophecies they're a bit cryptic, but they describe the first as the Shadow Master of the sun, bringing truth and revelation to the world. The second is the Shadow Master of the moon, a guardian of ancient wisdom and mystical secrets. And finally, there's the ultimate Shadow Master, the one who will ultimately bridge the divide between light and darkness, ushering in an era of balance and harmony.
It sounds epic. almost mythical, but these aren't your typical, robed figures leading armies, right? Considering their philosophy, I'm guessing this final battle is going to be fought on a different plane altogether.
You're exactly right. The Shadowmasters believe that true victory won't be achieved through brute force or military might. Their battle is for hearts and minds. A fight to awaken the potential for unity and compassion within each individual.
So these final Shadowmasters are more like spiritual guides, leading humanity towards a greater understanding of itself and the universe.
That's a great way to put it. And here's where it gets really interesting. According to their prophecies, these figures won't be chosen or trained in the traditional way. They believe destiny will call them forth, and they could emerge from the most unexpected background.
So anyone could be a chosen one. That's a powerful message. It suggests that each of us has the potential to play a pivotal role in shaping the future.
Exactly. It reinforces their belief that the divine spark resides within us all, just waiting to be awakened. It's a message of hope and empowerment, even in the face of looming conflict.
But their prophecies aren't all sunshine and roses, are they? There's a sense of urgency, a warning about the choices we face as a species.
You're right. They foresee a period of intense struggle and sacrifice, a time when the very foundations of our world will be tested.
And what about the outcome of this final battle? Do their prophecies offer any clues about who will ultimately prevail? Will the Shadowmasters succeed in ushering in their vision of a balanced world?
Well, while the specifics are shrouded in mystery, their prophecies suggest that victory lies not in the triumph of one side over the other, but in the restoration of balance. It's about recognizing that light and darkness are not opposing forces, but complementary aspects of a greater whole.
It's like they're saying that true peace won't come from eradicating our differences, but from learning to integrate them, to see the value in diversity, and to recognize our shared humanity as the foundation for a more harmonious world.
Exactly, and this message resonates deeply with their core beliefs about interconnectedness and the importance of embracing multiple perspectives. Their vision of the future isn't about one ideology conquering the others, but about transcending the limitations of those ideologies and finding a way to coexist, to create a world where everyone can thrive.
This deep dive has been a whirlwind of information and insight. We've explored the Shadowmasters' ancient origins, their complex belief system, their subtle yet powerful influence on the course of history, and their prophecies about the future.
And what stands out to me is how relevant their message feels today. We live in a world grappling with similar challenges: polarization, the pursuit of power and control, and a growing disconnect from the natural world.
So what can we, here in Dalbergen, on the very grounds of their spiritual HQ, what can we learn from the Shadowmasters as we navigate our own complex realities?
I think they offer us a powerful roadmap, a different way of approaching the challenges we face. They remind us to look beyond the surface, to seek deeper understanding, to embrace diversity, and to recognize the interconnectedness of all things. They encourage us to question the status quo, to resist the pull towards division and control, and to work towards a future where collaboration, compassion, and wisdom guide our actions.
It's a call to action, isn't it? An invitation to tap into our own potential for greatness, to become conscious architects of a more just and harmonious world.
Yeah.
Maybe we can all be Shadowmasters in our own way.
That's a beautiful way to put it. The Shadowmasters' legacy isn't just about preserving the past. It's about inspiring us to create a future worthy of their vision.
Well, thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through the world of the Shadowmasters. We hope you found it as enlightening and thought-provoking as we have. Perhaps armed with this newfound knowledge, you'll see the world around you, especially our very own Dalbergen, in a whole new light.
And who knows, maybe some of you listening will be the ones to fulfill those prophecies, to become the Shadowmasters of tomorrow, guiding humanity towards a brighter future. The choice, as always, is ours.
Thank you for listening to the Ascendants Chronicles, brought to you by VU Campus Dalbergen. Special thanks to our hosts, researchers, and the production team for making this episode possible. For more stories, insights, and updates, visit linkter.ee/dalbergenonline, linkter.ee/dalbergenonline, where you'll find links to our social media, the campus website, city information, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us grow and reach more listeners like you. Until next time, keep exploring the stories that shape our world. Stay curious, stay inspired.